And today we're diving into a book that honestly has the academic world buzzing a bit. So, S.C. Sayles, Jurisdictionalism, Authority, Meaning, and the Right to Judge. Just, wow. This book is a big swing at what the author sees as a core problem in modern intellectual life, especially in Christian philosophy. And for you, whether you're a researcher, a student, or just someone who loves a deep philosophical puzzle, I think there's a lot to chew on, even if you don't agree. So let's dig in. First off, what's the core question Sayles is tackling? The main issue here is, well, it's about judgment. How anyone can claim the right to judge anything. Sayles' argument is that before you can argue, critique, or declare something true or false, you have to answer, by what authority am I judging, and what counts as authority in the first place? Why is this significant? Because, as Sayles sees it, modern philosophy, theology, even science, so much of it assumes that the process or method itself is what gives legitimacy to a judgment. But Sayles is pushing back. He says, no, authority is never generated by the method. Judgment only makes sense after we name the court where it's taking place. So how does this actually play out in the book? Well, he splits the whole thing into two major parts. Part one is like almost a philosophical detective story. Sayles starts by clarifying what he means by key terms: authority, court, jurisdiction, judgment, finality. For him, jurisdiction isn't about naked power, or who can shout the loudest, or even clever persuasion. It's about the right, kind of like the legal sense, to make judgments that can actually bind people or concepts or, ideas together. A judgment made without real jurisdiction, in Sayles' view, is just noise. He's very careful to say his approach isn't anti-rational or opposed to reason or evidence. It's about putting those things back in their right place. Arguments in his system act as witnesses rather than as judges. That's a bit counterintuitive, right? Because it feels like in academic life or public debate, we tend to treat really strong arguments as courts in their own right, but Sayles warns that without a named authority, all our disagreements just go in circles, because no one can actually end the debate. No one is in a position to deliver a final verdict. It's like a court where everyone argues the case, but there's no judge and the gavel's missing. Then, in part two, he, applies this jurisdiction-first lens to tons of different fields: science, theology, apologetics, ethics, culture, law, identity, eschatology, on and on. For Sayles, the big mistake of modernity is letting science, psychology, or personal authenticity creep from witnesses to judges to claim authority in realms they're not equipped for, like you wouldn't want your dentist ruling on your tax audit. Anyway, Sayles' big insight is that before you trust a claim, you've got to ask, who or what is the court giving this claim its authority? He's really blunt that he sees Christ, as revealed in Scripture, as the only true final court for Christians, and all other supposed courts, like state power, public opinion, or methodology-driven expertise, are, in his eyes, imposters if they claim too much. For everyday life, maybe what this means is, next time you see a heated debate or a moral outrage on social media, you can ask, who's really authorized to judge here, or are we just pretending there's a neutral referee when there isn't? Sayles' book goes further, even, claiming that naming a rightful authority doesn't oppress. It stabilizes and clarifies meaning. The alternative, says Sayles, is fragmentation and endless confusion. He walks through how this plays out in science. Science as witness, not judge. In law, state has only delegated jurisdiction. In ethics, morality has to be rooted in something other than sentiment. And on and on. Now, in the appendices, Sayles gives a ton of definitions, a vocabulary, and even anticipated objections. He openly says, this is not a totalizing system or a new doctrine. He's adamant about what he's not trying to do. which is refreshing in academic philosophy. One last thought. It's kind of wild to see how much modern discourse, in Sayles' view, hides who's really in charge. The question for all of us maybe is, what source of authority are we letting, sometimes unconsciously, judge our choices, values, and beliefs? That's, for me at least, a strong takeaway. Even if you totally disagree with Sayles' ultimate answer, the methodology sort of forces you to peek behind the curtain and ask hard questions about where your judgments come from. So Jurisdictionalism by S.C. Sayles, whether you're deep in theology, philosophy, or just wrestling with big questions about meaning, authority, and judgment in everyday life, there's a lot here to think about.